Welcome to the MMO Show, the show all about MMOs, with your host, Brent Copeland. Download from iTunes, or watch the video at youtube.com/Brent Copeland. And now, your host, Brent Copeland.
Howdy, folks. It's once again that time for the MMO Show. We talk about some MMOs. Well, what I've been doing with the MMOs, what I've been doing with the Hero Engine, and ideas on what I imagine in the MMO that I'm working on. And sorry for the folks who might be expecting factions this week. I've been playing WoW, the new expansion, and so I wanted to touch on expansions while I have a little bit of this fresh in my mind. So I thought we would start there with expansions. But first off, I want to go into the Hero Engine update and let you know what I've been doing. So I've installed 3DS Max, and I wanted to make a tavern to put into the game, and there's a whole flow that has to be set up with 3ds Max, and it's called an art pipeline with Hero Engine, and getting all that set up is it's crazy hell, and so is working with 3ds Max. I thought it'd be a little easier to get into, but apparently there's a reason why they have colleges dedicated to teaching things like 3ds Max. But I think I can work through and get the assets I need. It's just going to take a little bit longer than I thought. I do have some good news on that front, though. Tobop, someone who's been in the community for a long time, has done animations for us before, works with a product called Blender, and thinks that we may be able to just convert the Blender items into 3ds Max. So I'm going to try to do that with something he sent me, and see if maybe I can leave that stuff to Tobop to do, and then that way I can concentrate on the other stuff, and that would be amazing if so. So that's great. So that's 2 team members. Third team member, Dave, is been also a longtime friend of the show. Not this show, but other shows. Asked about artwork, if we needed someone to do artwork, and he does some amazing creations already, and so I thought it'd be great to let him give a go at it. So he's going to work on some mock-ups of some classes and races, and then we're going to go over it and see if it's kind of the direction we want to go with, and if so, I'm just going to let him go with it. And I don't really want to be the art director. That's not the job I want. I want to leave that in the hands of the artist. So there's 3 members, and then fourth one, actually, a good friend of mine, Chip, is going to hop into the Hero Engine and look around and may help out some too. So we're up to four team members. And so we'll see what we can get popping with this stuff, and try to get people in there and playing some stuff. So really looking forward to all that. So it's really exciting. So like I told you, I've been playing World of Warcraft a lot this week. I've actually already maxed out to a level 100 and got my garrison to level 3, which is basically like their housing, except for there's actually no house. There's no place where you actually can go to sleep in there, which is a bit odd if you ask me. And besides that, there's, I thought with what WildStar did with their housing, and they kind of had these same socket ideas that WoW did, that they would do something a little different. But theirs is basically it's your own city. It's just like going back to Ogrimmar, if you know anything about WoW, and you're basically just building it and deciding what you want there that you don't want to have to go to Ogrimmar to go deal with, and a few other things, quest and whatnot. But really kind of honestly lackluster compared to what WildStar did. I really thought they would have taken WildStar's idea and run with it and really put much more amazing things in there, including a house that you could possibly decorate or something. But they didn't. So the expansion just reminded me of what I hate about expansions to MMOs. And that's what I want to get into today. Is this may be a fairly short show, but I still wanted to talk about it. And if you're playing the expansion, this one or other ones, let me know your thoughts about it too in the comments. But so usually what we have with expansions is, for people who don't know what that is normally you buy the original game, and then a year or more after that they'll come out with what they call an expansion, and usually it's basically more levels to level up and a new area of content that you can go fight with, some new dungeons and stuff like that. The problem I have with most of the expansions that I've seen for most of the MMOs out there is there's one main weakness that just irritates the crap out of me. Is it basically resets the game. You're basically playing a new MMO when that expansion comes out, because to do everything, they add on. So you've been, say, for example, you start a game and it has 50 levels in it. You've been playing 50 levels for a year. And usually it takes you a month to get up to that 50 levels, maybe a little more, depending on how slow or fast you are at leveling. But you get up there, and so you've been playing this same content for a year, these dungeons and these raids, and then they're like, here's a new expansion with 10 more levels, so now you can get to level 60. And so immediately what happens is all that stuff you've been working for the past year is, you might as well just throw it away. The first mob you kill has a new item that's better than whatever you have, and you basically, the quest, you basically fill up on new items, and all that gear that you worked so hard to get to make your character is useless. It's gone. You throw it away. You sell it, and you've started over. Now you have another year of basically doing this dungeon grind to get the best gear again, and it's just, I hate it. I think it's a huge flaw. The other flaw, I think, is it then invalidates all those dungeons and everything that happened beforehand. And yeah, they'll come up with some mechanics to kind of help alleviate that somewhat. They'll redo older dungeons that a lot of people liked into new dungeons. They'll make some kind of heroic mode or challenge mode that will up the dungeon to the new level. But honestly, most of the time it just becomes a new dungeon with the same name and some of the same bosses and things, and it's not the same. It's weird. So that's some of the things that I would like to kind of alleviate and work towards coming up with ideas that will fix those issues. The other issues you have is that there is some content that transcends through expansions, like achievements, or and WoW, they have a whole pet system. It's kind of like Pokemon, different trade skills. For the most part, trade skills, everything that you've made up to that point, 98% of it, maybe even 100% of it, you're never going to make it again. Like, it's all was for those previous levels. So what's the point? And it just dirties up your trade skill tab, right? Or your trade skill, where it has all your trade skills. And that's just like, what's the point? Like, the whole, and we'll get into trade skills in a whole episode. That'll be an episode all by itself. But even those areas where it kind of transcends the expansions and you can keep moving forward with it, say like achievements, say you need to get an achievement where you do all the dungeons in a certain area. Well, now with the expansion, now you're a higher level, and now it becomes trivial to go back and do that stuff. So if you didn't do it before or whatever, now it's just, it's a cakewalk. You just run through it and you go do it, and it's just it's not an achievement anymore by any means, and it's just another little task, and so that's. And then also all those areas that a year of content lands, your home world, everything that original content you did, there's no one there anymore because everybody's leveled up and they're all doing the new expansion. So it's just really bizarre. So I really want to try to find a way to keep people running around the same world through expansions, updating the world, adding things within the world, and not. I mean, yeah, sometimes you'll be like, oh, you found this new continent, or time vortex to someplace, blah blah blah. But I think there's a lot more chance to just add new things into the areas that you're in. The other things that most expansions don't do this, most games don't do this for expansions, but WoW does it every expansion, is the mechanics for your class. Like, they change all your skills and the talents, and so you've got to relearn your class, and even sometimes it kind of breaks the class from something you loved because it worked a certain way to now something that you don't really like anymore, and you'd rather go play something else. And so I think that needs to be kind of looked at too. Like, and that's one thing that going forward with this MMO, with so many classes and stuff, we can keep everybody's class how they are. I mean, yeah, there might be some tweaks to fix damage or defense or things that to keep them kind of level playing field. But to actually change how your whole class works, we don't have to do that. We can actually just introduce a new class or branch or something like that. So we'll definitely be able to work with that. Even EverQuest, one of the first MMOs, did it to me. I loved playing a druid. Originally, they were kind of these nature magic, and they did a lot of damage, and you could travel real fast and go around the world, and it was just really cool. And then all of a sudden, they decided, hey, we need more healers in the games. So let's make druids better healers and not as good at damage. And I quit playing a druid at that point and moved over to playing a wizard because I was like, that's what I liked about a druid. But all that time I spent in my druid was then just wasted. So I want to keep that from happening as well. So ideas, I think, to that we can do for an expansion is, I don't even know if I want to do yearly expansions. I think I would rather do almost like D&D modules or some sort of like okay, so how WoW does it is they basically say, we're going to give you this one expansion every 1.5 to 2 years. And then with that expansion, that actually kind of includes all these updates throughout the year. Or 2 years, because they do add new content in throughout the year. Well, I would rather make the modules cheaper, so you're not paying $60 each time, but where like you would buy a new module and every 3 to 4 months, and then you can be adding in this new content with these modules, new dungeons, new race every once in a while, new classes, new skills, new weapons. And things like that. So you're not resetting everything. You're just adding to the world of what people can already do. And that's kind of where I am with expansions right now. It may be early to talk about expansions since game's not even out, not even halfway playable, quarter playable yet. But I'd love to hear in the comments your ideas, what you would like to see in an expansion, or if you like the module idea of having something every few months, kind of on par with WoW's big updates, if you're familiar with those, but they could be completely different packages. If you play Minecraft, okay, remember original Minecraft where they'd have like the Halloween update and you get all these like features with the Nether and then the adventure update and things like that. So I'd like to kind of do that, and they've gone to a yearly thing, but I'd like to do a quarterly. So like every 3 months, every 3 to 4 months, you get a nice little content package, and then you can play with those new things. And I would like to do new races. Every once in a while, you'll find a new, and maybe every year or something, you might have a little bigger update where you find like a new continent, something like that. And then I don't know, stuff to think about, I think. So that's about where I am this week. Short show, but man, I'm pretty much feel like I'm kind of already done with World of Warcraft, and I can put it down for another year or 2 years, which is great, because then I save a lot of money that way. And that's another thing with the expansions. How WoW does it is with that 10 levels of content. Like, I blow through the content real fast because I just want to. I don't care about all that crap on the way up to the highest level. I want to get the highest level so I can start doing the dungeons and the raids and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of people in my guild and that I play with that don't do content that fast. There's only 3 of us in the guild that are max level, and with about 20 people are back playing. It's like, well, when are we going to be able to do a raid or a dungeon? It's going to be another month, and I would really like to get done with the content before my month of playtime is up, because I don't want to spend another $15. I mean, that basically means that my expansion, it costs $60 for the expansion and then $15 to re-up my month. So that's $75. If I've got to pay another month to play the dungeons, well, now we're up to $90. So I don't know. That's the other reason I want to figure out a way to do. I kind of like Guild Wars method of where you don't pay monthly, you just pay for the content. So you pay for the modules and you pay for the original game. Maybe have some things like mounts or costumes or something that doesn't affect gameplay that you can purchase, things like that. I'm thinking that's kind of the route I want to take with it. So it's not a free to play. It's a buy the game and play for as much as you want for free. Something like that. Tell me if you play Guild Wars 2. Tell me about that. If you like the method they're doing it, I kind of think that's the method I want to go at. No more subscriptions. Subscriptions are stupid. Who's with me? Subscriptions are stupid. Okay, so that's about it for expansions. I know there was something I'm forgetting, but oh, I know what it was. Silly me. I knew I forgot something. I do want to go through some comments, and let me get those real quick. Like, this is from the last episodes. We were talking about player housing. Here's some tavern name suggestions. William Stephanus says Dragonback Tavern, the King's Might Tavern, One-Eyed Unicorn. Mackenzie Drew had some names. The Distiller Inn, the Grey Wyvern, the Dragon and the Hag Tavern, and the Whispering Hag. So those are some good names. Thank you for that. Mackenzie Drew also had a comment. Love the hiring system for building housing. It allows you to have a more intricate building system as well. And I had lunch with a friend this week, and we talked about some mechanics about that. And I think having the building class, like I think they would even the mechanics of how they play the game would even be different, where they could pull up almost like a GUI where they could have the tools to build all the housing stuff. Like they don't just walk up and click a button. It's almost like Minecraft. They pick which material they want to work with, and then they actually make the walls. Kind of like how EverQuest is doing their building. I think that would be a great way to do the build, but that would just be for the builders. Like the adventure wouldn't have that. Super Mastodon says, I think you should be given an option to betray the faction you're going to join or something crazy like that. A lot of the games I've previously played that has the faction feature lets you join one but never able to leave again. I think betraying would cause a faction war of some sort. Absolutely. Wow, my throat's getting hoarse. But I don't think it'll be even as hard as that as having to like you won't click anything to say, I'm betraying these people. You will just start betraying them. Maybe you'll start killing them. Maybe you'll start helping out their enemies. And when they hear about you helping out their enemies, they're not going to like you as much. Ole Overland says, hi, Brenda, is there going to be different ranks in a guild? If so, what kind of ranks? So, it's still kind of muddy on guilds. Like, there's definitely going to be a system where, like, you join up with your friends and y'all have, like, a guild. And I would love to do some sort of, like, guild ranks or something, achievements, things to get you wanting to play with your guild. So I think some sort of ranking up system that shows that y'all are playing with each other. And I don't know what that is yet. I think we'll do a whole episode on guilds and get further into that. Also with guilds, there will be guilds with your every class will have some sort of class guild that they're tied to, which is more of like a thieves guild, or like it could be the militia or the King's Guard, some sort of organization that you belong to as well. The Smuggler's Den, the Builders Guild, things like that. And that would definitely have some sort of ranks as well that you can work up and become, a bigger deal in that guild. A couple questions about factions. I'll save those for the faction show. Let's see. Aaron Rodriguez says, I support the idea of housing in the game, even though usually I don't think it's necessary. The game you're going for seems to be a game that would benefit from player housing instead of having an extra add-on. The way you talk about items defining your class instead of vice versa, I think a good design choice, which reminds me of Dark Souls and Guild Wars 2 type of class design, which are both great designs. While I haven't played a faction-focused MMO before, I like the direction you seem to be taking in this. I've heard horror stories from Dragon Age about dumping millions gifts on someone to improve rep and being best friends immediately. I like that you have to actually look for opportunities and make real and natural choices to improve your reputation. Thanks for reading my last comment. Sorry, I didn't mean that as a snarky statement about not reading the previous one. No offense, dude. That's awesome. Wow, I am getting hoarse. I'm gonna go anyway. But just to comment on the last thing on the factions. Yeah, I definitely don't want a faction system where you can just buy your way into the faction system. I also don't want it to feel like you have to be in the, like, wow, the factions, you have to be exalted with these factions to get any kind of rewards that mean anything. And the problem is you go and you get exalted with all these factions, and it's just a way to make you grind. It's a way to make you play the game. I want to get away from all these things that make you play the game to get to where you want. I want to make a game where you want to play the game, and because you're playing that game, you get these things. And not, not force you to go fight the same damn thing over and over again just to get exalted reputation with some group. So Yeah, I don't think of it like there's going to be these factions where you've got to get your factions high with these people so you can buy these certain items. Sure, it may open up something for you if you get exalted with people, but I don't want it to be these things where it's like, well, I've got to go exalted with them because they've got the ring that's the best ring for my class. I want you to get exalted with these people because you feel like your character or your class would want to get exalted with these people. I mean, we're not talking super role play game, but I kind of want it to make more sense, and I want you to want to do things in the game and not feel like you need to do them. But okay, that's it. Thank you all for the folks that showed up in the live room, and everyone who listened and made comments. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And next week, we're going to go back and talk a little bit more about the factions, and I'll get to all the rest of the faction questions then. So ask me any more faction questions. Let me know your thoughts on expansions, things you would like to see in them, and I will talk to you all next week. Thank you all so much. Bye.